Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pickleball Crew. We are a group of pickleball fanatics based in southeast Louisiana and are passionate about all things pickleball everywhere. Our focus is to inform, acknowledge those who help build the game regionally, and promote tournaments in our area. We do our best to present this with a love of the sport, a sense of humor, and a lot of fun. So join Vicki Wynn, Ken Wynn, Jeff Fuchsia, and me, Bud Klein, in our latest episode. We are glad you are along for the ride. In this episode, Ken starts us off with his review and updates of local tournaments. The crew will then dive into a discussion of the hybrid third shot. Jeff shares another one of his Burrs under my saddle, and Vicki will finish off the episode with her weekly shoutouts. So stay with us, this should be another fun episode. And welcome to the 28th episode of the Pickleball Crew. Hot off the press, it's time for Ken's review of local tournaments.
Let's start with December. This weekend coming is the second annual Boys Ranch Christmas Classic at Fritchie Park Gym in Slidell. The tournament, the draw is closed at this point, but come on out. There's going to be some great items for auction and a lot of food and just a fun time. So come on out, Fritchie Park Gym, Slidell, for the second annual Boys Ranch Christmas Classic. That's December 1st through 3rd. The following weekend, December 9th, 10th, is the second annual Americana YMCA Pickleball Invitational. This is the Dr. Lydia Lewis Invitational. It's in Zachary, and pickleball, you can register for it. It's still open. It's going to be open until November 30th. Go to pickleballbrackets.com if you want to get involved in that tournament in Zachary, Louisiana. Staying in December 15th through 17th is the Pickle Jazz Pickleball Tournament. We're going to put the URL at the bottom of the screen. This will be in Baker, Louisiana at the Greenwood Tennis and Pickleball Courts. It's $35 for two events. As far as we know, registration is still open December 15th through 17th. That should be a fun time. Let's go to 2024, February. First we have is February 13th, 14th, and 15th. That's a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This is the Pickle Graw Jamboree at the Foley Event Center in Foley, Alabama. Men's, women's, and mixed. Registration should open any day now. And again, at the Foley Event Center, and go to pickleballbrackets.com. February 23rd through 25th at the Canebrake Country Club in Hattiesburg is the Canebrake Pickleball Tournament, 12 outdoor courts. Go to pickleballbrackets.com if you want to register for that. The following weekend in Opelika, Alabama, February 27th through March 3rd is the Paddles at the Plex. This is a tournament that Vicki and I have played multiple years. They have a spring and a fall. This is their spring edition. Registration will open December 18th. And that's a great facility if you have not been to Opelika, Alabama. Paddles at the Plex, February 27th through March 3rd. Going to March 22nd through 24th, the Pickle in the Dell. This will be at Crossgates in Slidell, Louisiana. We do not have a URL or a way to register at this point, but save the date because that's been a long-standing tournament on the North Shore, and it's always a lot of fun with great competition. The following weekend, March 29th and 30th, the Alabama Open in Clay, Alabama. Again, we've also played at that one. They've recently built some outdoor courts, so they use both their dedicated outdoor courts as well as some striped tennis courts. But it's a great time and another tournament with some great competition being the Alabama Open. Finally, in April 12th through 14th, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. This is the Young Life organization and the USM Wesley Foundation. Marlena Martis is running this tournament. On Friday the 12th will be open play and family night. The 13th will be gender doubles and the 14th mixed doubles. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. There's already almost 60 people registered for this tournament despite it being next April. Looks like she's going to put on a great event and we're looking forward to it ourselves. The same weekend, April 12th through 14th, is the Alabama Senior Games in Opelika, Alabama. So if you're not going to Hattiesburg, go ahead and go to Opelika. You can have two great tournaments on the same weekend. That's April 12th through 14th. If you have a tournament that you'd like us to promote or some updated information, just email to the email address at the bottom of the screen. And Bud, that's it for tournament updates for today.
All right, Ken, thanks. Great job. Good review of all the local tournaments. And now the group's going to jump into a different topic. I think it's going to be interesting discussion. We're going to talk about the hybrid third shot. Jeff, you want to start us off?
I will. So we've talked in the past about third shot drive, fifth shot drop, and we've also talked about just a straight drop shot, which is more of a looping shot. Vicki came up with this topic, and we're hoping to cover it because it's kind of the in between. It's kind of a drive and a drop. It's a hybrid drive drop. So we're going to try to just talk a little bit about it. Ken actually uses one of these shots. And it's very effective for him, especially when he's feeling it in its own. I've been working on it. I've always, for the longest time, I had just looping drop shots. And they work pretty good if you can get it in behind the net. But if you send it too far, the ball kind of bounces up some and the other team can get pretty offensive with it. So this shot that we're going to talk about is trying to be a little more offensive with your third shot drop is what we're going to discuss. I'm going to kick it over to Vicki. I think she can lead us into it a little further, if she will.
Okay, sure. This is actually a great and exciting topic for me because this is actually one of my favorite shots, but I always felt like it was an escape shot a little bit because, and I even it got nicknamed Vicki's drive drop. I mean, and we had no idea that this was a thing going on, and it was called a hybrid. And after reading an article today, watching a video, it's a real thing, and it's actually extremely strategic if you can mix it into your repertoire on the third shot, for sure. This is when you don't feel that you need to use every bit of your power. If you were doing 30, 60, 90, and 90 was your full, it lands somewhere in between at the 60 range. So you're taking some of the heat off of the ball. Maybe you have a little bit of height at your advantage there and you're able to put some top spin on. But basically what it is it is not a loopy drop. This is a drive drop that still lands where the loopy shot might land, but it is much lower and it has a little more heat on it. But one of the pros actually calls it a drip. So we're starting to hear a whole bunch of different terms for it. One of the other pros does it. They said his shot is absolutely amazing. He's able to even slice. And so when he's doing it, he puts like 60% of the heat on there with a little slice. It still lands at the other player's feet, and it is nightmare to try to return. So it is a very, very difficult shot to get back when somebody can master it. Now, here's what ultimately I feel like this is another shot to put into your program. This is not to replace the drop. I don't think it replaces the drive. I think there are those times when you absolutely want to drive and you want to challenge the other person who is at the net or somebody that's maybe laying a little bit back. Maybe they're just have a weak block backhand and you can keep sending it, that way. I don't think it's to replace it. I think it is something that you need to work towards to add it to your game. There is a drill that you can do to practice it. And he called it the 30, 60, 90. And so what you're going to do is feed the ball with 30%. And that's going to be your more lofty third shot drop. Your next one that you send to the person at the net is going to be the drive drop, the hybrid shot. And the next one you would do would be your 90, which would be your drive. And you continue to send the balls 30, 60, 90, 30, 60, 90. So it actually benefits both players, learning to block different shots at the net and return those shots that come really hard at you that way. And it's also great to practice from the baseline, sending those shots.
This sounds a lot like one of Ken's favorite return of serves that comes low over the net, not deep into the court, but usually bounces about halfway between the transition zone and the kitchen line. And it has a lot of top spin. Like I said, it doesn't come with a lot of power, but that one drives me crazy. And I know it's coming. I know what he's going to do, and I still don't do it.
Yeah, he does it then, and he does it on his third. So, Ken, why don't you tell us kind of through your eyes, maybe what you were thinking when you started hitting that shot? Because when you're doing that and it's on, it's a really good shot.
It
Killer.
is.
Well, it's not so much on my thirds because that's more of a 30% shot. That's a drop shot that doesn't have quite the height. I think this is really almost a 3/4 drive that is low, that if the person wasn't standing at the no volley zone, it would drop in maybe 2 or 3 feet behind the no volley zone, maybe right in that area, kind of more of kind of how Bud described it, as opposed to, and it's really a drive from the baseline. So it's kind of a 3/4 drive as far as the pace that you're putting on it. But you have that rather than a drive being a ball that is ascending as it's kind of crossing the net, it's actually has a slight arc to it and it's coming down. So it's catching a player kind of below the waist or right at the waist, but the ball has already started to descend, and it's kind of coming downward to them. So it makes it a little hard for them to hit and control it.
Yeah, I think that's a real effective shot when you are serving and the return of serve, that person is not getting to the net quickly. In other words, if they're just kind of loping up to the net after return of serve, hitting that right into the transition zone, maybe a little bit closer, and forcing them really to do a half volley as opposed to a ground stroke or a volley. I think that's when it becomes really effective.
I think did this shot really well, and they're not in our area. It's kind of a Greg Eisman type of a shot where it was a third shot, but it was a drive, but he had that backspin that he put on it, so that the ball wasn't rising. It was kind of going over the net and coming down. It was very hard to handle. And watching the video with Vicki on the drip or this kind of a 3/4 drive, that's one of the kind of the attributes or aspects of this shot, was that it, wasn't that hard drive at 90%. It was more of a 60% drive that arced maybe over your no volley zone line, but was coming down on their side of the net, but deeper than a drop would be. So I guess that's why they call it kind of a hybrid type of a shot.
But Ken, you also have that back slice one that you do. And that one has a tendency to stay nice and low and goes straight down to the other person's feet.
Right.
And so that's one thing. One of the pros, he put the forward slice, if he was doing it with his forehand on it, and the back slice with his backhand. But it's still, it's a follow through. It is not just a soft slice drop. This is a follow through. It is 60%. It's coming at you hard.
I was just thinking of what Ken said about Greg Eisman, because his was very deceptive. His stroke looked like it was going to be a soft, little third shot drop over the net, but it usually came at you a whole lot faster than that. And he was very deceptive on how he used that shot.
Right.
I've been on the end of both of those, and Greg's was more loopy to me, but the backspin, when it would hit in the kitchen, the ball wouldn't hardly come up.
Right.
I think Ken's shot is doing more of the description here, because it's not an all-out drive and it's not a loopy drop shot, and Ken's putting that top spin on it.
Yeah.
And if you're not really careful after you return the ball and you don't get up there, next thing it's done dip down on the side of the kitchen there, and it hits the ground and it takes off.
That's
So
right.
I think, as far as, not that we know everybody that plays pickleball, but within our circles, Ken's got this particular shot. And for me, I've been working on, like I said before, trying to put some more top spin with my two-handed backhand over to the left-hand side to get that ball there a little quicker, get it over the net, and have it dip down to that player that's there. So Ken, when you're staring down the barrel of it, I'm gonna tell you, it's a tough shot. And like Vicki said, I think it's one we're all looking for things to add to our repertoires. I think it's something that people should work on and try to have it added in to what they're doing.
I agree. I think it is something that you just discover. For me, it's more on my forehand side than it is my backhand side. And I really, really love doing it when that ball comes back, believe it or not, comes back a little deeper, but comes back a little higher. And then I'm able to really take that good swing with it, but also take some of the heat off because I know I can put topspin on it and send it closer towards in front of in front of the opponent, and
Right.
try to have it land a little bit shorter. So
And the key there, y'all, is this, and Ken Shot accomplishes this. Even if he doesn't make it bounce, he's making you reach below the net. Okay, it's hard to get offensive when that ball is below the net like that. And
right.
it doesn't necessarily have to bounce. It can be a volley at one's feet that you're using this shot to make people reach down. Because that's what one of the things you're trying to do on your third is make that other team not be able to be offensive with it and have to reach down to try to grab it. It may take you one more shot to finish getting on into the net, but just very, very effective shot.
It is, and you can even
Ever
see where people put their paddles down because it has a little heat on it. Even if you're not swinging or anything, if your paddle's not in the right position, it's going right in the net. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just got enough heat on it that it is hard to handle.
no doubt. No doubt.
Well, and if you can angle them out toward the sideline with a little bit of topspin, sometimes people think they're
Not
going out.
sometimes, Ken, all the time.
Yeah, they think they're going out, and once they realize that the ball is curving back downward because of the little bit of topspin on it, they're too late to react to it. So,
Like I said, out of all the shots I have to play against, all the people that I play against, that shot drives me absolutely crazy because first of all, I know it's coming and I still can't do it. It's just when you hit that shot right, I'm toast.
Yeah. And to me, Ken, I play on the right side a lot, being a lefty. So when you're hitting it from you're on the right hand side of the court, my left hand side facing you, it's going to my backhand. You do the same thing from the other side of the court, so it's really effective to righties on the left side that you're hitting it to because it's looping down into their backhand, which is uncomfortable for a lot of people anyway.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think
Vicki,
it's
are we going to drill on that tomorrow?
yes, sir.
I was going to say a while ago, Ken's still working some and can't make drills with us. I'm glad he can't drill that shot because it's all gone good. I don't want it to get any better.
Exactly. So it's also defending the shot too. So this again is where drills and working an exercise list like this benefits both parties because you are learning to defend it just as you are to send it. And that's the good thing of always rotating sides and who's sending and who's receiving because it benefits you on both sides.
This is another shot too, y'all, that paddle technology has really helped out. I think when we started playing, the three of us 5 years ago, the paddles didn't have near as much grit.
Oh yeah.
So now
you could never make that shot with the Z5.
Right.
With that slick face, never do it.
Just couldn't grip the ball.
I agree. I think even the new carbon fibers, I've been shocked at how much topspin is just, it just, my paddle, I've never been able to do it as well. Not even with my graphite paddle, which I, still loved, but transferred just to give it a try. And I am finding that I'm doing more topspin successfully with the carbon fiber than I did with the graphite. So.
Right.
Yeah, and the counter to that shot is really being able to, if you track the ball properly, is to be able to kind of reset that ball back into the no volley zone on the other side of the net. A lot of times people, when the ball is coming down low, they'll pop it up. And that's your goal, to either take it on the balance if you can, but sometimes with the top spin, it's hard to. So if you take it out the air, being able to reset that ball back into your opponent's no volley zone, which is that's a hard
Yeah,
shot.
the problem is it's hard to make a good ground stroke off of a low bouncing ball.
Mm.
For me, what's helped me is not only the new paddle. The new paddle has helped me do backspin on both my forehand and my backhand. And that, to me, is an effective way to deal with a good topspin shot, is be able to hit it back with an underspin, kind of counter the spin.
Yeah.
And I like the roll. I like to, if I'm trying to, again, go back to that catch and sand, if I can catch and send and then just try to do that roll, a little soft roll, then it can sometimes just, it's going to go a little softer over the net and it'll stay a little shorter than just flying off my paddle.
So I guess in kind of wrapping up, so again, just to talk about the three, we've got a loopy drop shot, we've got a third shot drive, fifth shot drop, and this is somewhere in between. It's not really soft. I guess a drop shot would be described about 30%, right, Vicki?
30%.
A drive, we're going 80, 90%. You should never be driving just 100%. That ball's going to go wild. And then this shot, this in-between hybrid drop that we're talking about, is explained at about 60%. And did you mention earlier about the Zane Navratil video?
I mentioned it. Yes,
Yeah.
He goes through it, and he actually goes through a demonstration where he sends the ball very hard to a young guy who's at the net, and his explanation of the drive and showing how it goes higher generally. It's starting to go a little higher over the net, and he's able just every time to put his paddle there and block and sometimes even send it hard back. So he said those are times when you're just not going to want to use that. And so his drill, he goes through that 30, 60, 90. So it's worth watching to actually get a visual on the whole thing.
And let's take a look at that video now.
All right, guys, so you've heard of the third shot drop, you've heard of the third shot drive. What you might not have heard about is the combo, the drop drive, the hybrid. And this is actually one of my very, very favorite shots. So when your opponent is somebody that can handle the drive very, very well, I don't want to just rocket that ball at them. But maybe they're a little bit off of that kitchen line. Maybe they haven't been able to get all the way in to the kitchen. That's a time where I'm going to try to be a little bit more aggressive and get this ball down low on my opponent. All right, so maybe Sammy hasn't gotten all the way up to that kitchen line yet. If I hit my normal drive as hard as I typically do, it's gonna still be rising by the time that it gets to Sammy. Sammy's gonna have a shot right in his strike zone. So here's an example. Here's me hitting my normal drive to Sammy. So the problem there is Sammy's still able to take these shots in his strike zone. And what if I hit a drop? If I hit a normal drop, Sammy has so much time and I'm not putting any pressure on him, right? Now that's where we come in with the drop drive, the hybrid. So it's somewhere in between a full drive and a drop. It's got a little bit of pace to it, but it's still gonna get down low on Sammy. And it's gonna give him a little bit of trouble because he's gonna have to pick it up from below net height. So it's not a drop and it's not a drive, but it's a shot that's in between, that's gonna get on Sammy quickly, but also be down low on him. Typically, if I'm going to hit a drop drive, I'm gonna be crashing in behind it. I'm gonna be coming in, and looking to clean up that next, oh, almost had it. And looking to put a lot of pressure on, clean up after that shot. So if your opponent is in that transition zone, this might be a nice shot to drill. One of my favorite drills to do this is what I call the 30, 60, 90 drill. So if Sammy is all the way up to the net now, hey guys, just a quick reminder, if you are looking for Franklin paddles, I've got them available for sale on my website, zanenavratilpickleball.com. Free shipping anywhere in the United States. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna hit one shot at 30% of my max speed, one shot at 60% of my max speed, and one shot at my 90%. What this is essentially doing is 30% is our drop, 60% is our hybrid, and 90% is our regular drive. So we've got 30, 60, 90. Couldn't handle the 90. Let's go. 30, 60, 90. 30, 60, 90. Can't handle the 90. So that's one of my favorite ways to work on that hybrid drop drive, and that's the idea that that's what I'm trying to pursue when my opponent might be in that transition zone. So if you add this to your game, you can make it very, very difficult for your opponents to take the net as the returning team.
He's a professional. We're not. We're just four pickleball nerds that like to talk pickleball. I've seen it. It's a good idea for sure.
But the way he practices it, it's with somebody at the no volley zone. He's back at the baseline, and he cycles through a 90, a 60, a 30, then goes back 90, 60, 30, and just will repeat that so many times, just working on the muscle memory at those three types of pace and at those three types of shot, the drive, the drip, and then the drop, using that terminology.
And Ken, that is something, Vicki, I've been meaning to mention this to you. That is something that really helps us. The game, you got to go from fast to slow, fast to slow. Sometimes we get into drills and we're in a rhythm doing the same speed. Well, that gets easier after a while. But to have a drill where you got to drive one, then you got to slowly drop one, then you got to go in between and keep going in between, maybe hit two of the same one. I think that could be really effective in helping all of us to handle different speeds and hit different speed shots and try to hit them accurately.
No doubt. I mean, and think about the pressure that we've all had in trying to perfect the third shot drop. I mean, and it's like I said, there was a time when I realized that by being 6 inches to 12 inches behind the line, the no volley line, as long as I was going cross court, I was still doing okay with those. They were still drops that they were not able to do much else with, and it gave me the chance to get to the net. Start to realize that trying to always perfect that third shot drop, there are other options for you, and this is kind of exciting, like I said, because it just gives you a whole nother thing to think about doing with that third shot.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right, that was a great discussion. And now it's time for Jeff's Burr Under My Saddle.
You're burr under my saddle. Your thorn sticking in my side.
All right, here we go, people. I hope y'all enjoy this one. I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to this. Here's the key sentence I'm going to lead into with this. Oh, we got to run that one back. All right, people. Look, you just beat somebody 11-2, okay? You done spanked that butt, okay? And then they say, you walk to the net, you paddle tap, and they say, oh, we got to run that back. I mean, really? You just okay, I just beat them 11-2. No, why would I want to run it back? I'm bored. I just won 11-2. And if I just got beat 11-2, I don't want to run that back. I just got whipped. I want to go get on the side, get something to drink, and kind of revamp. Stop it with we got to run that back. No, we don't got to run that back. take your butt whipping and head on over to the side and find 2 more people to play against. Don't let that happen to you. Don't be that person. That's this week's Burr Under My Saddle.
All right, Jeff. Another good one. All right, and now it's time.
Hey, bud, I've got a shout out.
Go ahead, Vicki.
All righty, bud. So this week I got to thinking about a lot of our senior players out there who have done so much for the game of pickleball in the way of staying involved, keeping organization at the places where they play, dedicating their time and effort and everything to the game and to everyone who plays around them. And the 2 that stood out to me was Mr. Ed and Mr. Albert over at Pard in Ponchatoula. They've been over there for a long time and really help out a lot and try to keep everybody happy and keep things going. They notify everybody if for some reason the gym is going to be closed. They just remain very involved, and great job, you 2. Shout out to Mike Darby and Jay Finch, who were at John Slidell for many years and are now over at Fritchie Park. And those 2 have done a lot for the game and a lot for the group that they play with. But if I'm not mistaken, there is even a Mike Darby tournament, isn't there?
Yeah, every quarter.
Yeah. So you go, Mike Darby, keep doing it. And we just love it. We thank you all. Pat Hurton, again, out in West Feliciana, she remains involved and just remains at the forefront of the sport. So my shout out is to all you senior players who just keep going, remain dedicated to the sport and dedicated to everybody around you. We appreciate it.
All right, Vicki, thanks for those shout outs. Well deserved by everyone. Nobody has anything else. I think it's time to say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night. From the Pickleball crew, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next week. Well, that's it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave any comments and please like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again and see you next week.